I'm gonna put this on my.
Okay, we are live. We are totally live. Oh, look at her recording. Yeah, that's very intelligent. We should all be doing that, except for I'm doing the transmission with my phone. Hi, guys. We are so excited that you are here watching us. Maybe on the repeat, maybe your guys are live. Whatever it is, we have so many good news for you, and this is super, super fun. Let me just start by saying you guys are both in LA right now, right?
Yes, we are all
Oh,
on the West Coast right now. More
Yes.
synergy.
oh my God.
Let's turn closer to you, Gabby.
Mhm. And
Yes, 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 yes.
actually, the minute I met Aubrey, she said, "Oh, we should go down to see Gabby." So now
Yeah,
we're
Yes.
making
I,
that
I hear
plan.
that. You know, we should do something here, like in maybe like in November or something, when you said we should do an episode here on the
Let's do it.
beach. That'll be super cool. Okay, guys, so let's start with our episode. So we decided that because I want people to know that we get together to plan this episodes, not to plan how, not, we're not like scripting it, but we
No.
decide what is it that we think that people are interested in conversing about. And we came up with so many topics, so we're breaking them down episode by episode, right? And one of them that was like a big topic or a big thing, I guess like the elephant in the room of many of us is the instant gratification culture. Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
Yes. Very
Gratification.
good. So I give it to you. I think it was Aubrey or Anya who continue on with the translation of what I'm doing, what I'm saying.
Yeah, so I think I can break it down in probably a little quick story. I remember being at a social and this guy asked me to dance. He let me know that he was new to the scene and he wanted to learn to dance because he wanted to become famous. I knew he was taking beginner classes and this and this and that. A year later, I see him on stage being called a pro. I see him traveling, being called a pro. And the main reason why is because he posted a video of himself and got over 100,000 likes or whatever it was. And all of a sudden, he was famous in our scene, even though a year prior, he had let me know that he was a beginner dancer. So today's topic of this instant gratification is really to bring light and to shed light on how instant gratification is maybe not the greatest thing for our dance community because it overlooks the technique, the structure, and many years of understanding not only one specific type of dance, but all. So I guess my question to you guys is when you hear instant gratification within our dance scene, what do you think of?
Anya?
Um, yeah, well, Aubrey, that was wonderful. Thank you for that introduction, and that's a very great story. You really narrowed it down because that is what's happening. And for me, as someone that I stepped foot into dance as a child and actually, many times noticed that in my community or in my culture and upbringing, dance was almost like this exclusive thing that only the best could do. And in order to have a profession in it, you really had to devote and dedicate your entire life to it. And, there was almost this idea that it is reserved for the special, which you are not. So when I got into salsa, for me, it was actually really nice to see that that's not true. Dance is available for everyone. Dance is something everybody could enjoy. Dance is something that, it's a language. It sets us up for communicating, expressing, etc. That, however, is very different from being a professional, which is somebody
Uh-huh.
that gets paid to do it, right? And so if you think of a profession in any context of the word, you are providing a service, and your service, renders profit based on its quality, right? And of course, every single person determines for themselves what quality means to them and what they would pay for what service. But when you are a professional dancer, that is what you are. You're someone that provides dance as a service and you charge money in exchange for that service. So for me, as a consumer, I would never pay to watch some of the things that we call professional dancing in our industry. I would never pay to learn from some of the people that get paid in our industry, and so forth. And that, you know, I have my own personal standards, and of course, I am trained in this, so maybe my standard is going to be different from most people. But to me, this is, this is the frustration. The frustration is because it has become so normal that popularity sort of takes over quality, that we lose track of the fact that this is a service, right? Entertainment is a service, education is a service. Looking for that skill set is a service. And so my question is, when someone is popular, are they actually providing you the service that you are paying for? And what are the standards of what we are watching that we consider to be entertainment, right? So I do see in our industry a lot of copying of one another, finding a structure and a formula of, okay, well, to be a really famous bachata dancer, I just have to have a really beautiful figure and, really create a romantic product that looks good on video, which has a lot to do with lighting and filters and all of these things. And then my video gets lots of views. And, in that moment, because I didn't pay to watch your video, right? And you are showing me a lot of things that I am connected to, like beautiful people, beautiful scenery, beautiful music. I understand why that video gets many views. It's pretty, it's nice. Can we not confuse that with you being a good dancer? And certainly, can we not call that professional?
Yeah, I think that you mentioned a couple of things, both of you. So one of what Aubrey, what you said, it looks to me like the manifestation of somebody or our culture adopting that culture of instant gratification, like wanting to be like quickly doing a shortcut, hacking into the system, and then knowing the problem is that because our standards, and this is the word that Anya used, our standards have gotten so low.
Yep.
Therefore, people who are immersed in instant gratification and they want everything fast. And right now, and they don't care about taking shortcuts in order to just get like famous or whatever. Then the problem is that we are providing that path that is so short because of the standards being so low. So it's like a vicious circle,
Right.
right? Because the fact that we agree that that's quality makes our standard go lower, and therefore people don't care to learn how to become better because they don't need to, right? So and then that creates this very shallow content that is needed, and we're like overseeing, as you said, all what really matters and what is going to give us a really large long career as teachers, instructors, coaches, dancers, entertainers, competitors, judges, everything, right? And the more we instant gratification in reality is just like doing like what is right in front of you and just eating it, right? Just getting that dopamine, right? But what delayed gratification would only do would be making give you something better than what you're getting right away, right? But in our industry, there isn't. We have forgotten about what's out there after you work really hard. We have taken the light out of the dancers the dancers who worked really hard and the good teachers, the good instructors, and we put that light into the people that have worked perhaps 3 years, 1 year, 6 months, and have this quick fix, and then therefore making them the goal and making the other ones that really have worked, have studied, and have the knowledge that they can help you really get to a like a higher place, and taking that goal out of something really far ahead, like you like Anya was mentioning, in ballroom or in your type of dance, and every type of dance outside of salsa and bachata, the goal is far fetched.
Yeah.
You need to be uh training and constantly training. I see it with my contemporary teachers, my teachers for dance. They're like they already have a degree in dance, but they continue training every single day, and the reason why is because they know that the success is far fetched. Like
Hmm.
it's not instant. So they have that goal, is far. They have the path, is long and structured, and us, we have the opposite, and we make it. We are not intelligent enough to know that that's going to have like really bad repercussions. Because right now, your question was why, how do you see it, or how do you see instant gratification? In my case, one very specific example I can give you is I started teaching and teaching teams back in 205. Okay. And I started noticing, like, I have standards, right? So in my teams and also in my franchises, I have levels. So I have syllabus that people have to apply themselves to, right? And if they don't, for instance, if a group of dancers cannot do certain criteria, I don't put them in a certain level, right? And then I started seeing how so many people came to me asking me for a franchise or for a team or to be in a team, and they were always asking me for a higher level. And then I was like, I cannot give you that level because you're not at that level in my book, right? And then they said, fine, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move to somebody else. And that somebody else was actually my student, and that happened over and over every single time. I can you not, like, once a month this happened, either a student or a franchise director who, because I couldn't give them the level that they wanted, instant gratification. Like right now, in this moment, I give you the title of professional, of high level. I can, if right now you don't tell me that I'm a really good dancer, then that means you don't believe in me. And that means I'm going to go with somebody else who believes in me. Only that other person who believes in me is really not a better teacher than me. It's actually somebody who took classes with me or was a part of one of my franchises, and then they can tell you right away, oh, you're a pro. So that to me is instant gratification, the culture that we are immersed in. So people don't want to work because they don't think they can work, because they perceive the same result as just moving from this place to another place, no work involved. Just by looking at and going to another city or to another teacher who's going to give me that certificate of pro right away, taking this other route, then this is instant, and I perceive it as good, as the same level as of good. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes
it,
perfect sense.
yeah, it
Yeah,
makes sense. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Anya.
no, I just wanted to say that because it makes perfect sense, and because what Aubrey's saying makes perfect sense, and I hope what I'm saying makes perfect sense, it's almost like we can't really even blame anybody, right? Because
Mhm.
there's so many structural components that went into things being the way they are, that really it would just be so helpful if we could identify a standard that people should look for, and then it will help them understand, why we're saying the things that we are saying, because I
Mhm.
also, for me, Latin dance is rooted in connection and
Mhm.
partnering and rhythm, right? This is my understanding of Latin dance, is this is how it's, let's say, different from other art forms, and that, you know we're not required to do the kind of work that Aubrey trained for. We're not required to do the kind of work you train for, Gabby, as a ballerina. That athleticism is not necessarily required. So it's easy to learn salsa choreography. It's easy to learn bachata choreography when you don't have standards, right? And so
Uh,
people go in and out of our environment saying, okay, I'm ready for the next thing because physically they're not being challenged. And
but
they're
are
not
you,
being,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Are we really learning? That's what I mean. Are we
but
really learning, or
that's
are
what
we
I'm
just copying the outside, the shell, and not nobody knowing, nobody understanding that that only looks like it only in the very outside, and
that's what I'm
everybody
getting.
not understanding it.
That's what I'm trying to put into words for everybody that
Uh-huh.
is listening. That,
Mhm.
you think, right, that you being able to remember a sequence of steps, and you think that you being able to execute that sequence of steps to the music, especially if it's a little bit faster, right, which is, like a cardio challenge, that is seemingly what made something hard, and you feel accomplished when you overcome that challenge. But the reality is there is so much depth to what we do if you properly understand connection, and if you actually aim for your body to look good when you're dancing, right, to have the right aesthetic, to have the right posture, to finish your movement, to have the right lines, and to produce rhythm, right, which is what makes Latin music unique, is that it's rhythmical. And for your, if you watch, this is my rule. My rule is, if you're watching Latin dance, what should be moving is between, right, it's your torso that should be moving, right, your joints should be part of the activity. So anything below the shoulder line and above your knees, that's what should be dancing in Latin dance, right? And we have a lot, most of the things we're watching happens from the elbow down and from the knee down,
Uh-huh. Exactly.
right? and
From
and
the
so,
outside.
yes, exactly, the extremities, right, like the things that are actually quite easy to coordinate, which is so many people can pick up choreography. And so for me, this is part of that cycle that, like, because I'm just imagining that there's a lot of quote unquote innocent people out there, right, that just don't know, and they might be buying into the instant gratification culture and not knowing that they are, right? Because
Absolutely.
the students that are coming to you and asking for the next level, they're forgetting to challenge themselves in this way, right? They're just challenging themselves in that way, and so they feel like they're ready. And that's because they don't even know or are focused on that part, right? Because not everyone can teach it, and not everyone knows to look for it. So then we're
Uh-huh.
just like, oh, like I just had this conversation with someone about costumes, right? Like and for me, the best example I could come up with is like, I'm single, so I'm sitting there on Bumble or Tinder and I'm swiping, right? And I'm like, okay, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you, and I'm like, okay, you're not good looking, you're not good looking, you're not. And then you see so many things that you don't like, that the one thing that is like decent in comparison, you're like, oh, okay, that's okay. But really, for your standard, if it was a different circumstance, you wouldn't really think that it's okay. And that's what I think is happening for us. We see so much stuff that is really not on any good level. We see so many costumes that are not really on any good level, that we just end up thinking, oh, that's the standard, so I
Mhm.
can be a part of it. And then it wasn't hard to attain. It was a bodysuit that I bought in Forever 21, and I put 3 rhinestones on it. And I'm making that example because that's what's happening in the quality of our movement, right? I'm
Yeah.
moving over here, I'm moving over here, and you know um, that's basically what we are breeding, because we're allowing it. And also, it's so easy to fall into it and not rise above it, right? Because it's easier, so why not?
Yes. 100%. And like that analogy with the costumes is just like so
True.
true. It's
You know,
exactly the same. It's like it looks the same. It looks the same, but like for instance, when you go to Mexico, it's so funny because you see people that have like they copy somebody's costume, and they, instead of putting rhinestones, they put like another material that's called lentejuela, or they put like rhinestones that are like, it's just, but I remember back in the day, they would create exact replicas. And it's the same thing that right now is going on with choreography and even like shapes. For instance, when I go on Instagram, and if you put the hashtag sensual bachata, you will find it will be very hard for you to put one person, separate them from another, because all the couples look identical. The girls are identical, maybe just change the hair color, but everything is exactly the same. The moves are exactly the same, no matter where they're from. There's like, if they're from India, from Korea, from Canada, from Spain, from Italy, from France, from whatever, they all look identical and the moves are identical. That's insane. Like, I don't remember things being this way before. And I do believe that, but I've had this conversation with other people before, but I do believe that bachata was to blame, because I remember, and I'm not saying, I mean, I'm a bachatera, so I think I can be, I'm not being politically correct by saying that, because in a way, I'm just saying that I am part of the problem, so, and what am I going to do? I'm assuming my responsibility in the issue, right? And because I remember when I used to be just a pure salsera, that crap is hard. That is so hard. And right now, you would not catch me dead, like trying to learn a choreo for salsa. I take classes. If I take classes, they're always salsa classes, because it's so hard. And I equate salsa to ballet, because ballet, it
So hard.
doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 30 years, you're still gonna suck. You always suck at ballet. No, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it.
Yep.
Salsa, you're never good enough, because it's hard stuff, and it's not what it looks like. It's just like what it really, like, functionally. And then on bachata, it became so that just it was just like a shell. Like, if you look good, then you're a good bachatero. If you don't, that you're not. And it was, so it started becoming like that. And yeah, I know that was not part of the question, but I thought I would throw it there.
I wanna go off of that, Gabby, because I remember when I came into the scene. Let me show you. This is how I knew that your choreography was being replicated. This.
Uh-huh.
Can you see me? Remember when
Uh-huh.
you guys would pull your hair like this?
Yes.
Everyone started doing it. I was like, I get it. I get that they're inspired. I get that
Uh-huh.
people, they want, I mean, I'm inspired. I stayed in the scene. I told Anya this the other day. I
Mhm.
stayed in bachata because I saw good bachata from Alma
Mhm.
Latina,
Mhm.
um, in Reno, my very first Reno. To be honest with you, I was kind of like getting a little, bachata was getting a little repetitive until I saw your fusion. I saw Su Veneno, and I saw
Mhm.
technique, and I saw bachata, and I saw original choreography. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And not only just the bachata sabor, but it was the intricacy of what
Mhm.
Alma Latina did in that routine,
Mhm.
that I was like, oh my gosh, why has it been a year that I haven't seen anything like this, you know?
Mhm.
And I think that I speak from me as a newer bachatera to you, who has really set a standard of what bachata is. And with setting a standard, sets copycats. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I
But
see.
it's crazy because, for instance, like, like, just so you guys know, I have, I think if people don't know me, if people are in your accounts and they don't know me, I'm a very outspoken person, because I have Asperger's, so I don't know how to, like, filter things, right? And then and I'm gonna say something that I think is important. One thing that has happened to us at Alma Latina, for instance, we set a standard, not thinking that we were going to set a standard. It was just like, that's what we did, right? Because we don't know any other way of producing what we're trying to do, right? We have to, and then we're all educated in dance and in other forms of entertainment and art, right? So I came up with that move with the along with the kids. And but remind you, I was an engineer creating things, and then I also was in the music industry. I was a songwriter, so I understand the how the brain can work when you give it permission and just say whatever comes out of my head can be put on my on my stage. If
Yes.
there's no rules, right? So you let go and then you just say this is what's going to go in my choreography and this is it, right? And what happened afterwards is that people started thinking that if you don't copy then you're not dancing bachata. And then by the end, I can tell you that 10 years later, a lot of people started hiring the students of my students of my students of my students. And then for them, and that was one of the reasons why I shut down Alma Latina this year, because I'm like, I've had it with this.
Yeah.
These people are like, I'm just not getting it. And like just last month this happened. I was in France, and then somebody was like, oh, I have this choreo that one of your choreographers made for me. And then I was like, okay, I saw the choreo. It was full alma latina, put in pieces that just didn't make any sense. And then it was somebody who was not even a student of mine. It was a student of Martin. And
Mm.
then he said, and I'm gonna go there and gonna visit him, and then he's gonna train me. And I was like, why don't you go and visit Martin? Martin is like, he knows a lot of technique for like for real, like not choreography, but just like how he's gonna teach you how to move, like and how to create this movement with your partner and the whole thing. He's like, no, I like him better because he was cheaper, and then he's heterosexual, so I don't want to be with Martin because Martin is gay. And I was like, I so much to this situation. Imagine how like I don't feel anything anymore because I just but this is how reality is right now
Yeah.
across the board. Like people are being like, oh, I took classes with one of your students from Alma Latina from one of the franchises, therefore I'm a pro. And this move that, for instance, the hair, I can tell you what's behind it. If I make a face, or if you see one of my choreographies, and sorry to monopolize, but that this makes a lot of sense because I want people to know that bachata, when you're trying to do like acting in bachata because you're copying an alma latina piece, whatever, because this is what a lot of people do. They're copying a face that they don't understand what that face has behind.
Right.
When we dance, if you see, for instance, the piece of Say Something, we're actually crying on stage. We are crying because it's our story. And we build the story, we build the choreography based on our story, and it just flew. You helped me do the gravity choreo because and how for me it's very important that what I'm dancing is true to what I'm trying to say because it's a message. It's not just a shell. And therefore, my face, I don't have to act. I'm feeling it. And every time I did that choreo, I would be up like before going on stage. And if I got really worked up and then just really like emotional about it, I was like, this is gonna be a good show, right? So how does that look like a shell? It doesn't. And then when people try to copy that and put it in a piece of a song that makes no sense
Yeah.
and put that face, it's like, no, bitch, you haven't gone through what I went through. You cannot just copy paste. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'll give
Yeah,
you guys
that's
Well
for
said.
me, like this is all great because it summarizes why instant gratification culture exists, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody, we get attracted to what we see and we want it. And I think everyone has a different level of what it takes, right? Like how much work you put in, how much time, effort, that's different for everybody. But I would love it if we had goals and standards that got us there. Whether it took you a long time or not doesn't matter, but
Mhm.
I would love for us to have respect for the process, because whatever, okay, all of
Yes.
you out there that are looking for instant gratification, what you're actually missing is you will never get to that thing you see that you're actually attracted to. Because when I'm watching an Alma Latina piece, I'm attracted to the creativity. I'm attracted to the joy that you are experiencing on stage. I'm attracted to all of those emotions that are running through your body, right? Which literally come from experiencing the movement in the moment. And if I'm copying the outcome, I'm missing out on the reality, right? That could give me my own sense of creativity, that would put me in a place of empowerment and ownership. And so, for everyone out there that thinks the shortcut is the answer, the truth is you will always be smaller than the person you are copying. You will
Mhm.
always be less than the formula you're seeking. You will never develop your own personal sense of expression, creativity, mechanics, like everything that a professional has when they are doing their job for you on stage, that comes from the trial and error. That is where their expertise is, right? Like, how many times did we have to fall down? How much did you have to be in the movement to, like Gabby summarized it really well when she said, I know what the brain can do when you give it permission. And when you're looking at the shortcut, you are missing getting to know your own brain and body when it has permission. So for me, it's like I have compassion for all of these stories, and I have gratitude for the fact that I am a trained dancer and that I understand how to move my body so I can create my own product. And I am proud of the fact that I don't look like anybody else on stage and that my students don't look like me, right? That all of that makes me really proud, and I want that for all of you guys. And instant gratification personally bothers me, not because someone would copy me or someone would have quick success. I am happy for everyone to have success, but I don't like seeing the same number over and over on stage. I don't like the idea that if you think bachata dancing, you instantly have an image in your mind of what you think that is. Like, that shouldn't be the case, right? We are all individuals. We all have something beautiful to share and offer. Even if you're a beginner, it should be presented and taught and received in a way that the individuality speaks for itself, and we all know that's what we can have through this process.
Mhm. Yes. And another thing that I feel like on a personal level, I think what you said is just brilliant. And like this is what people are missing, and we should know better. We should do better than to let this thing than to let the new generations just miss out on so much. That's to start with. But then one thing that I continue to talk about is like if we see things from a bird's eye view, what's going to happen to our industry if the standards keep getting lower and lower and lower? There's going to be less space for instructors, for coaches, for choreographers, for judges, for anybody, because if anybody can do something, then it's like the law of supply and demand. If
Mhm.
there's too much supply, the price really gets really low and the demand drops. So then we are headed to, for this industry and all the sub industries of this industry, to disappear. So in a way, we're also not only doing a disservice to ourselves, but also to the industry and to our own future and to the future of those who otherwise could have something much, much better than just being famous on Instagram. Because I think that right now, like when in the pandemic, we a lot of us realized how fickle and how vulnerable our situation was, because we were based on pure fame and on being in congresses, and only congresses, only if you're famous, and only if you put on a party, if you put on a show like that is like I don't even think that shows even matter. I think it's only about like if you're hot in the moment, and if you social dancing and then put on like a party during the whole Congress. And it's like we all depended on that, and it was so not stable, you know. So, and the reason why is because it's like it's like the story of the three piglets. The we were our do you guys have that story of the three
Yeah.
piglets? Uh-huh.
The brick
So
house.
we salseros bachateros, we have been writing on this, building this house of hay, and it was so beautiful and just so fancy. But when the wind came, there was no structure, and then those people that had like a build like a brick house, a brick whatever, then they stayed, but there was very few of them. I don't even know one of them, right? So we're doing that again now, again. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
No,
no,
we
yeah, I'm saying I connect with what you're saying because I am um I feel very lucky that I have a foundation and a structure, and that, the pandemic changed a lot for me specifically, for sure, and I missed, being out there and being on stage and all of these things. But work wise, I was able to survive because my students are used to a quality that comes from me, right, that is of so much benefit that they stayed loyal. And because I teach so much structure and foundation, it was very easy for me to switch from doing it in person to doing it online, because
Mhm.
the material that's being offered was resonating for people, whether we were in person or not. And I even teach a lot of group classes on Facebook where I can't even see my students. So I'm just straight up, giving material and knowledge that, because it's foundation and because it's structural and because it's technical, it resonates with so many that
Mhm.
I was able to survive.
But if you're not, like, if this is what happens. Like, if you're not right now famous, and you became famous a year ago, and all your fame and all your work is based on what you can do right now because it's right now in fashion, when that facade moves away, then you're no longer going to have that structure. That's what I mean. If you, and this is what's happening, because we're putting our eggs in all in one basket that is very fickle, is very fickle. So it's also, we're making it that there's no like real need for structure, for, you know what I mean? Like, you are lucky because you live in New York. You have like educated people, and also New York, I see it because every time I go there, and for instance, I'll go to Yamule's class, and it's packed with famous people. So that means, that to me shows me that over there there's so much competition that people continue uh, training themselves. But that's not the case everywhere else in the world. In
it's not
LA is not the
either.
case, in Mexico is not the case, nowhere. In Europe is not the case, in Asia is not the case.
Well,
Maybe in Asia, but in
actually,
people just,
yeah,
you know.
I don't have that many students that are actually from New York,
Mm.
because I don't offer the structure that New Yorkers are accustomed to.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm not a part of that formula or that market, or, like the group classes that you see or that you would take. That's not what I offer. So my students are usually the ones that, that want to improve on a personal level, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
actually, be in charge of their own bodies and understand what's happening to them, and develop their own style, develop their own expression, create their own routines, etc. So for me, it was more a matter of, because the structure and foundation is there, it stayed interesting for students to acquire, right?
And then the
Because
thing
they
is, like, in a way, like if you didn't have all this education, you wouldn't be able to stand. You see,
Right, that's what I'm
you wouldn't
sharing.
be able to, but because you have all of this education, then you can move easily from one thing to another. And with the new generations, if they don't understand the need for education and for work, and then getting into this creative process of your own, make finding your own voice, but through knowledge. It's like, I don't know if you followed the instructors in the university that I put together. They're like professionals. They have PhDs in music, history, whatever, right? And then one of them said something that was like brilliant. It was like, yes, in order to break the rules
You have to
of
know.
music and of musicality, you have to be. And then he was talking about like being when you're social dancing, right? You just gotta be to be musical about social dancing is because you have all this structure. You already understand music. You already understand your body in terms of dancing.
And what
You
it can.
already, and you're not copying. If everything you're doing is because you have not internalized the rules of the science of dance, then if everything you're basing on is on something you copied and you're like imitating, is that's not gonna hold. It's like trying to speak a language when you all you know is songs in that language. When you're trying to have a conversation, it's not gonna happen because you have all these words that you learn from songs, but that doesn't mean that you know
How to put
that you
sentences.
can hold a conversation. Same
Yeah.
thing, right?
That is so true. I think that the instant gratification issue that, I mean, the dance scene clearly all over the world is having needs some sort of standards. I think that's going to be a big part of the solution. So, how do we move forward? How do we make that standard happen?
I think
Okay.
we just gotta call upon the people that are interested in doing this. We can start with ourselves and then just having this summit of like whoever, we want to invite people. Let me add some of the comments. Anya, I know that you gotta go, but I'm just gonna be okay. Brenda Palacios says, "Preach, girlfriend." Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Trena, she says, Anya teaches us to focus on our body's sensation through movement and allowing emotion to flow from there. She's amazing. So imagine this is
Yes,
another level,
yes.
It's a crazy another level. This takes time to develop, of course. So I think that we have a chance to do something for our industry, and then we want to invite whoever wants to collaborate with us in terms of just like opening up this conversation. I know that a lot of people would be interested. Let's do something. How do we do it? We start by having an idea that we need structure. We need structure. We need levels. We need to build those levels. We need to put those levels. And of course, like Trevor, your student said, everything takes time. But all we have is time. Why spending more time just copying and just going over the same thing that is headed to go down? So we want to ask you guys to join us, join our Facebook group,
Yes.
comment on this, and let's do something. And then we are going to be here hopefully every 2 weeks. And every time is going to be more, and there's going to be more activity. I just finished our website, but it's not up yet because I'm having a little issue with the hosting. But I'm almost done, and I think next week is going to be up, and hopefully we can have Anya's blog in there. You know, something of Aubrey. I'll add my podcast there. We'll just let's put together a community of dancers who want the best for the industry.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do to help is gonna help. Even if it's just having these conversations. So, well, what do you think, Anya? I think that's a good start, huh?
It's a great start, and I would add to the start, having personal standards would really be if every single person that wants to dance, especially professionally, right? Because I think we're mainly targeting those with professional dreams with this conversation, or or like even students that want to get to the next level. It just anyone that wants to achieve the next level in their dancing should have personal standards. You should take a step back from why we think everybody else likes them, why they're popular, why they're recommended, and really actually ask the question for myself, is this, is this right for me? Is this something that I like? And then also be able to say why. Because when you can understand the why, that then it's something you can attain and hold on to for yourself. And then your investment, right? Your investment of time, your investment of money, your investment of your emotions will make more sense to you, and it will no longer seem taxing or heavy or expensive or long, right? Because I also think, because so many of us don't really understand why we're doing what we're doing, we want it fast and we want it easy because we don't really care, right? Because but if you think about
Mhm.
something that you do care about, you would never say a dance class is too expensive if you cared about getting better. And you
Yeah.
would never say that developing a skill takes too long if you cared. Like if you do a triple turn, and this is something every Latin dancer can relate to. Every single one of you wants to do a triple turn, and you are all okay with the fact that in order to do that triple turn, you actually need to learn how to do it. So everybody asks for spin technique. That's something that became normal to ask for. So give me spin technique, because you can't do a triple turn without structure. It is physically demanding. So I just encourage everyone to start seeing the rest of what we do with the same amount of respect, even though getting by may not be physically demanding. Can you ask for more from yourself? And can you, I don't know, be curious about why a good dancer actually looks good, and not just go with the flow of what you're told is good. I think raising our own personal standard through asking questions and being curious is also a good place to start.
Yes, and I would add another element of raising your own standards in this context of the instant gratification culture. And then another thing that I would say, I don't know how to call it, but I think there's a lot of fear. So my advice would be, don't be afraid to not be popular, because this is what stops a lot of people from trying to build a standard, because they're like, what if uh, what if I do something that is very unique to me, and it's very aligned to what I want to do, but then nobody likes it, nobody is giving me thumbs up, nobody's giving me likes on Instagram, and they don't want to risk that. But my advice would be, as hard as it is, start the process of just going for it, and it doesn't matter if people like it or not, because eventually, and I give you this for in my example, like half of the things that I've done have been things that I've never thought that people would like. And that's the but that when it's risky, it gets better. And I don't know if they liked them or not, but like it made me grow. So I would say that raise your standard, be curious, like Anya said, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be different. Don't don't look for being a copycat, because that is going to change as soon as it changes. As soon as the next trend
Yep.
happens, if your idea of becoming a better dancer is by copying, then that's not gonna hold you there. So what I think is, like, start exercising, finding your own voice. Start exercising, not copying, and even if it looks ridiculous, start exercising whatever is true to you. And then if whatever it looks like, don't worry about it. Just do it. And then if you want to put it out there, put it out there. If you don't want to, it's fine, but do it. Do it in your house. Try to push yourself to the next limit, to the next level, without trying to look like someone else. Because that's the only way you're gonna become, like, truly strong in being big and being large and famous and strong. So for when you fall, you cannot hold yourself up because you have all this strength. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes. You have people saying, I'm on live right now, and people are saying, just, it's so true. Jess, who's on her way to see you right now, Anya, said she's listening
Yay.
on her way. Yes,
Cool.
such an awesome conversation for us to have. I think we could go on for hours about the examples and, go in circles of how to solutionize, but just raising our standards on a personal level, I think is going to be the first step for us to look within and then start projecting out. So thank you, ladies, so much. It was a great Dance View interview today. When's the next one? Do we have it on the calendar?
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now.
Yes.
Two
So,
weeks from now.
and then
So
someone
join us, join our Facebook group, share this episode with whoever needs to hear this, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. Thank you,
And thanks
guys.
for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
Bye.